This is going to be interesting. Doc Rivers continues to, time and time again, not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
Good evening, sports fans! A pleasure to have you here for the Big Football Show. It's good to have you back, everybody. A lot of you have been following us for years and years on Big Cat Football, doing the podcast thing. And tonight we're bringing our live broadcast to Twitch via Davey's Eating a Sandwich, a.k.a. The Sandwich Show. It's so good to have you all here. And so we're going to introduce all of you to a new audience tonight. And we're really excited to keep talking sports. And I hope you'll like the show. What an incredible moment for our friend TurboSwim from Twitch to make his return to the Sandwich Show chat. Oh my goodness, I have not seen you in months. So good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. My name is Dave Medina. You know me as Davey's Eating a Sandwich right here on Twitch as well. And those of you listening to the podcast, what we're doing is we're trying out a program here on this incredible platform I've discovered over the last year and a half called Twitch. And so if you have any comments about the games or anything else in chat, feel free to let us know. If you have any questions, if you want to ask anything about gambling advice or whatever else, feel free as well. I'm going to introduce you to all my friends. Jason L. Rush is here tonight, too. Welcome in. And CW Guitar with a 13-month resub. Thank you so much for resubbing to the program. So, yeah, it's let's introduce you to some of my friends. We've had an incredible weekend. I'm going to get to all of that in just a minute, but first we'll recap all the games and how we did last week. So, folks, an incredible weekend. I mean, the Tennessee pulled off the big upset. We had a showdown that didn't go quite as we thought between the Bills and the Chiefs. But what an incredible time we're about to embark on here, folks. We did really well in the picks, myself excluded, of course. But let's keep it rolling and recap all the action and give you some new picks as we roll into week 8 of our incredible contest. Let's hit it! Football picks week 8. Here we go. And really very happy results to recap, everyone, from last week. So our friend Kevin on the Cape, man, he'd been struggling. He almost was going to quit the contest. He ended up getting back into it, going 4-0 in picks. Great job out of our friend Kevin last week. Just a tremendous job. Andy was close behind at 3-2. John doing pretty well at 2-2 as well. Ron was 2-2 for the week. And I, Dave, a.k.a. Davey, a.k.a. Bork, a.k.a. Vid, a.k.a. Verd, a.k.a. Dick, went 1-3. So here are our standings after 7 weeks. And it is John, with all that activity, moving up to first place at 11-14-1. Ron is in second place at 11-15. Andy's in third place at 11-15, and I am in fourth place at 10-16, tied with Kevin, 10-16. I know we have a big hill to climb, but there's still half the season to go, so I feel pretty optimistic. So I'm excited overall. Let's do the thing. Folks, it's nice to have you all here. Boy, we're getting some good turnout over on Twitch, too. So thank you, everybody. Let's go ahead and say hi to our friends. I'm going to introduce them to you one by one. So first, to those of you, a lot of you are watching us for the first time doing the football thing. So I'm going to first introduce you to John in Connecticut. He's a big football fan. He's a big fan of the UConn Huskies, as you can see from his shirt. And also a fan of the Green Bay Packers. Our friend John has always been up on all the point spreads and everything else. We consider him a really experienced savant of the genre of prophetical wagering. And John, it's always been great to have you on the show. You used to host a football pick'em show for a time too. So John, welcome back to the show, and say hello to our new Twitch audience. How's it going tonight, John?
What's going on, Dave? Yeah, good to be on the new platform here. I don't know if you should have showed the standings, Dave, with our records to all these nice people tuning in for some football advice. But, hey, we'll get better over the second half of the season. But, yeah, good to be back and, happy to talk some games. And if people in the chat have questions or want to share their thoughts, that's great, too. So, yeah, this is awesome, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, John. Appreciate that. I mean, glad to have you as part of this scenario. And really, Swim says Tennessee game was crazy. We're going to recap that in just a few minutes. I mean, really an incredible spot. And so we have 2 more folks joining us. Let's say hello next to our friend Kevin on the Cape, who was a co-host of mine over on the old show, on the Dick Cal Football Show. Going back years and years and years. Kevin, a great week for you. Kevin's favorite teams are the New York Giants, Doesn't have a favorite college football team, but he's a big fan of the Mets in baseball, and also a huge fan of Duke basketball. So, Kevin, welcome back to the show. How's it going tonight?
John, can you feel the energy from Dave here? It's off the charts.
It's exciting, I have to say. Dave is just like, I didn't realize he had about 20 nicknames, but hey, good for him.
Not only does he have 20 nicknames, I did a little research for us, John. Dave's tags under his Dave eating a sandwich are food, bork, music, waffles, pancakes, French toast, sandwich, Cubert, and English. Which the English was the one this throws me off the most. Is it like we hope that this is not translated, or I don't know, but I mean, John's face during the intro literally made my entire day, and Dave's energy is just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, usually Andy brings any needed energy for us, but I mean, I don't know. Dave's off, is flying right now. So hi to all of our new peeps, and you will soon find out I have the least clue of all of the people on the show. Hence my 10-16 record. However, I was undefeated last week. So yeah, that's all I got so far. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. I haven't seen John and Andy in a few weeks. Well,
it's been a couple of weeks. Now, look, I'm feeling the love for the Padres. The Padres made the big comeback, and let me go. Good job out of you getting the Padre cap on. I mean, what a comeback for them today.
That was a gift from my brother, who remembered me nonstop wanting to watch Tony Gwynn highlights as a kid.
I love that. Tony Gwynn is a good reason to root for the Padres. Like, rest in peace, Tony, of course.
Well, he was a chubby lefty, which was sort of like my whole MO. So
I didn't know I forgot you were left-handed. That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, I am.
Good times.
All left.
Right.
Can't go right. Can't go right anywhere in any situation.
You are a brilliant man, my friend. It's so good to see you back. Welcome in. All right, and then our third panelist tonight. His favorite teams. He's originally from Boston. He now lives in Seattle, Washington. His favorite teams are all the Boston teams: the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Celtics, and in college football, he's a fan of Alabama. Who?
That's not totally true, but it's all good.
Wait, what?
I just like betting on Alabama.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say hi to Andy in Seattle. It's been a minute. How you been, Andy? What's new with you?
So, you mushed the fuck out of the Phillies. So, Kevin, just a little refresher. It was 4-0 Philadelphia, then 4-2, and then Dave parachuted in. And I'm not bitter or anything. Didn't have the Phillies. Didn't have them. And he's like, Phillies are going to sweep the Padres. And then 10 minutes later, it was 4-4. Shortly after, 7-4, 8-4, good night the lights, final 8-5. So great times in the office watching that game.
Dave strikes again, and Bryce Harper can't get a hit ever in a big spot.
That's true. You know, it was just a great opportunity for him in I think it was the 8th inning. Yep, he just came
I don't know. I mean, he has amazing stats, but every time I watch him, because I watch way more baseball this year than I have, he never gets a hit. He must just beat up on the Nationals and everybody. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, I think you got a point there. We're also tracking the Yankees and the Astros in the ALCS, which is all tied up in the 4th inning. Andy's got action on that one. So,
well, I'm channeling my inner Yankee fans. The passion can't be duplicated. As far as I can tell, a lot of sports, as you all know.
This is wild.
Sports equinox tomorrow.
My TV told me to watch the Knicks Grizzlies. I was like, come on.
Yeah, Tommy told me
let's calm down.
Tommy told me to bet them +5, so looking great there too.
Oh man, I'll have to look at that score, see what you mean by
Memphis
that.
Was killing them last time I saw. I actually had action on the Pelicans and the Nets, so I got an eye on that game. You got all sorts of gambling going on.
We all know John's watching the App State game.
Oh,
of course.
Yeah. Main screen.
That's the main screen.
Yeah, definitely. So
you were okay. I was hoping you'd be on Georgia State tonight. That was a good play. That's a good play.
Well, Dave, it's at halftime, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, yeah, it's true. I already mushed one team today. I don't need to mush the second one. So one thing you're going to learn about all those of you on Twitch is that I have an incredible jinx, and we call it the mush. And whenever I make a prediction, often it blows up in a spectacular fashion. So you'll be here seeing more of that as we go through these shows. Turbo Swim says, I love the show already. Boston, well, we can give him a pass. He's from New Jersey, folks, just for what it's worth. But right on. It's really good to see you, by the way. We have not, just to shows you the power of sports, is that we hadn't seen Turbo Swim in literally months, and it's great to see him back in chat. So let's get to it. I mean, we have had an incredible weekend of college football action. It was punctuated by Tennessee's upset of Alabama, and I do appreciate Andy's clarification regarding his rooting interests.
I don't know. I mean, not to bore the new crowd or Michael Plodwick if he's watching, but that's LT. No, like I used to be a fan, but as John can attest to, as Kevin can, and once you gamble enough, your heart gets hardened. You don't. Like, you're not really maybe those guys are, but I'm just numb to it all. Like, sports fandom just doesn't really do it as compared to gambling, for me at least. So,
I find you end up rooting against more teams than for. Like when you don't have action, I'm like, can the Yankees just lose?
That stupid coaches I
root for I root for chaos in college football. It's like. I want everybody to lose at least once and make it all a mess.
You could get that in the SEC. Not to jump ahead of them ourselves, but Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama could all end up with one loss.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they'll just put all four of them in.
TCU left standing at the altar. Thanks.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very exciting East Division. Well, look, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Like you said, we're going to get into all this.
He's got a brand new Star Wars shirt too. Yeah. That thing looks like it was right off the.
Oh no! Well, in fact, this
rack.
Oh yeah, this is Boba Fett. Not to be confused with the Mandalorian
right now, guys.
Yeah. Oh man, Phil Velo's in the chat. What's going on, Phil? Can we? I don't know if we have any. Let me go give all these folks a shout out over here. I don't have any. I don't know if we have any mods in the chat at the moment, but there you go, Swims, and then Phil too. But John, let's go back to you. Let's recap last week's action. It was incredible, and you also had Texas beat. I think this was last weekend too. Texas beat Oklahoma by a lot, or maybe it was a week before. But and then you had Utah beating USC. It was a really exciting weekend of college football. So let's give it to you for the recap.
Yeah. Where do we start? Well, first off, I will say that I was actually traveling over the past weekend. I was in Green Bay for that complete and absolute abomination of a game between the Jets and the Packers on Sunday. But that's besides the point. We'll get to that later. But so my college football watching was not as deep, I would say, as it usually is. However, they did have a nice little casino / sports book there in Wisconsin, and I was able to take in some action and make a few bets and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the top games of the day, I mean, where else do you start? You have to start with Alabama and Tennessee. I'll be honest, I did not expect this kind of performance from Tennessee heading into the season. And even up to this point, I mean, their schedule, they hadn't really been tested per se. I mean, the LSU win was nice, but I don't think LSU is that great of a team. I mean, they played some MAC teams. They didn't have they didn't come into that game with me thinking, all right, they're going to win this, or Alabama is ripe for an upset. And even more so with Bryce Young starting, I thought, okay, Bama's going to score enough points. The Tennessee defense is still kind of porous, and Alabama's going to get the win. Maybe they Tennessee would have covered. That would kind of have been my play with the points, but I didn't expect the outright win. And man, did they play great? Hendon Hooker, where is he on the Heisman list right now? I mean, just a great performance. You got to give Josh Heupel credit. I doubted him again heading into the year. And he's really got that offense going. And there's still questions on their defense, which they're going to need to answer at some point. I mean, that game at Georgia is coming up soon, which is going to be obviously huge. We can talk about the various scenarios, but the winner of that game is going to be in the SEC championship game for sure. There's uncharacteristic mistakes from Alabama. There's a bunch of penalties. And then Tennessee, they made the plays at the end of the game, and they picked the game-winning field goal, and Knoxville pretty much burned down. They throw the goalpost in the lake. That was awesome. You love to see that in college football. I mean, what's better than that? So yeah, it brings up a real interesting scenario now in the SEC. Like I said, they played Georgia in a couple weeks. If Georgia wins that game, you assume Georgia's going to win the rest of their games. We'll say Tennessee wins the rest of their games, and then Tennessee's kind of sitting there at one loss. I remember like there's precedent for this. I believe it was Texas A&M last year had one loss, but they did beat Alabama, but they still weren't able to get to the SEC championship game, and they couldn't break through to the playoffs. So that's kind of what might happen here with Tennessee if that's the scenario that plays out. But who knows? There's a lot of football to be played, a lot of other conferences to shake out. The Pac-12 might have a role in this, and that kind of segues into the Utah-USC game. I did see more of this game than the Alabama game, and great comeback by Utah. After being down early, their defense just looked completely overwhelmed early in the game. Like USC could just do anything they wanted, and give Utah credit for hanging in there. They just kept running their offense, and USC couldn't really do anything to stop it. One thing that did annoy me though, in the second half, there was literally a flag on every play of this game. Dave, I'm sure you watched it. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
There's holding and pass interference, and then they throw the flag on the interception by Caleb Williams, and then like the clock stopped. It was just a complete cluster, by the officials. Like it was almost unwatchable towards the end of the game. But Winningham, they go for 2 on the last touchdown. And that ends up being the difference. USC's not out of it yet. Like one loss isn't really gonna hurt you that much. I mean, this year maybe we'll see. But I think in terms of right now, they're still very much alive. And there's a huge game between UCLA and Oregon this week. USC and UCLA still have to get together. So lots to be decided in the Pac-12 for sure over the next month. I guess a couple other games I'll mention. Texas really should have lost to Iowa State. For people who watched that game, Iowa State was the better team. Like it seems like every week Iowa State just gets shafted with calls by the refs. Like there was a targeting play that they reviewed, but there was also like a fumble at the same time, and like the TVs were on mute, so I couldn't exactly see what was called, but it was clear targeting that they picked the flag up on, and it should have been Iowa State going in for the game-winning touchdown, but instead Texas took over and ended up winning the game. Of course, before that, Iowa State's receiver just drops a wide open pass. They would have scored on a touchdown. But in any event, Matt Campbell, he always plays these games close. That spread was ridiculous at 17 points. But yeah, Texas is still in the mix. They only have the one loss just to Alabama. So as long as they have that, they're gonna stay in it. Same with TCU, who's undefeated. Huge matchup with Kansas State coming up this weekend. Also another one-loss team. So this is all going to shake itself out over the next month or so. Clemson is still undefeated. Their schedule is just a joke, though. They play, quote, undefeated Syracuse this weekend. I don't think that's really going to be much of a game, but we shall see. The ACC is kind of shitty, but Clemson might get in the playoff just based on that alone and just their brand recognition, even if they really aren't one of the best 4 teams in the country. But that's how it goes if you've kind of built up that equity with the playoff committee. So, that's kind of all I got for the recap of the big games. Really interesting weekend. I'm sure Andy and Kevin maybe can dive into some other ones, but yeah, it was it's a crazy year. Like I'm not going to compare it to like people are saying, oh, this is like 2007. Like no, because South Florida is not number 2 in the country. Like we don't have a team like that. That's right up there. I mean, I guess maybe TCU, but like I said, they're only number 8 or 10. So it's a fun year. Like there's a lot of possibilities. Whereas we didn't see that at the start of the year, which is what you want halfway through the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to not have the same 4 teams at the top, or at least comfortably at the top, like we're used to, which is a good thing. Yeah, Tennessee was a great win, and now same scenario for Utah coming back. I mean, you're right about the refs too, Andy. That was just, John, they sure loved being on TV that night, didn't they? That was kind of a tough game to watch, but. And nonetheless, a great win. Turbo Swim says Tennessee needs to win big in a few games to be guaranteed, in my opinion. And there's one, even the one this week, I feel like they need to win that one pretty big. They're playing UT Martin. It's like if they win that by 10 points, that's going to be disappointing. We're going to see. So let's go to Andy. Let's get your recap of last week's action.
Yeah, thanks. I actually had some company over the weekend, so usually when I'm literally fused to the couch from 8:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturdays out here, I actually saw very little pigskin. I saw actually most of the sports watching on Saturday was that Mariners Astro game. If Mariners still haven't scored, they still haven't scored. But
18 inning game was nuts, man.
but the I'll just kind of do a little more unconventional way because John just basically nailed all the big games. What I'll say about Alabama is that it's very anti-Saban standard with all the penalties, and the running game wasn't all that good. Bryce Young had to, do Bryce Young things. Just the end. Obviously, I saw the highlights like Mike. I saw just the end of the game there. To just not only to settle for that 51-yard field goal, but to compound that in leaving Tennessee with time. Saban's usually very good at managing clock and all that stuff. So the fact that you gave Hooker and that Tennessee offense a chance to not even just settle for overtime, but to win it with that little knuckler field goal was just like, yeah, Saban definitely had smoke coming out of his ears. He probably still does. But as we've alluded to, they still have a chance to kind of like do what they need to do to just stay in position. They got Ole Miss on their schedule. They're since Tennessee is in the East, Alabama's in the West, they just take care of business. They're going to be in Atlanta that first Saturday in December. But yeah, like the people that hate Alabama are definitely pounding their chest. Bama wants Bama. Like Bama doesn't even get Bama at this point. Like now Tennessee wants Tennessee. Tennessee wants Georgia. Georgia wants Tennessee. So yeah, like we'll see how that all shakes up in the SEC. This program and Ron, who's not on tonight, have always laughed at the Tennessee narrative of like, they think, they live in this like fantasy world where Phil Fulmer is still there and Peyton Manning's still there and T. Martin's still there. And they've like recycled these coaches, but they got this right. Heupel's good. That AD, they came hand in hand together from Central Florida, and Hooker, he's great. And you just wonder why it didn't work for him in Fuente at Virginia Tech. But yeah, like Tennessee's like, we got to like give ourselves a fun house. They're fun to watch. Their offense is great. And yeah, they got to, they might have a little flat effort, but because they're still partying after that Alabama win, but they could beat Tennessee Martin with one hand tied behind their back. So yeah, great game for Tennessee. And yeah, Alabama has to go back to the drawing board. But yeah, some of these other games that I gambled on and paying attention to, John and I were texting behind the scenes, like that great back door. If you had Navy plus 12.5, that was a bad beat segment. If you had SMU, but we did not. So no complaints there. Navy going about 80 yards with, 70 seconds left. They don't throw the ball, but they did. And yeah, it worked out. Like who the hell is watching Navy SMU? We are, goddammit. Yes. Penn State, Michigan. Like,
yes, seriously, like
it's who said it? Death, taxes, and Michigan at noon. And my goodness, like they're Michigan and Ohio State wake me up on that Thanksgiving Saturday, and we'll see what happens. But I do not need to see another snap of Penn State this year, and I don't need to see another snap of Michigan until that game on late November. We're not Big Ten fans either. Yeah. Let's see, what else can we kind of rant about? Because yeah, usually I have a little more like notes and stuff, but I didn't watch a lot of games. Yeah, that TCU Oak State game was wild. I had TCU giving 5, so the fact that they didn't cover bothered me. I do know that they had Oklahoma State facing 4th and 9 in the first overtime, and Sam Sanders threw a BB to keep that game alive. Yeah, that was just a situation where like Gundy plays with fire all season long. They win these games that they probably have no business winning. And TCU, yeah, like they're a great team. They got good defense. They finally settled on their quarterback. But as we all know, Sonny Dykes, part of the Sonny Dykes package is he's going to lose a game that he has no business losing. Still bitter about that Florida Atlantic Bowl game when Lane Kiffin was already out of town. And that's going to happen. Like, I don't know when, but it will definitely happen. So everyone's that's like TCU could be undefeated at the end of the year. I don't know. I just they're going to stub their toe when you least expect it. But enjoy the ride now because they're covering most of the time and, yeah, they're taking care of business. I was a fool. I took NC State not realizing Devin Leary was out. Oof. And I was like, Syracuse has to be the most uninspiring 5-0 team in the country, and now Syracuse is 6-0. Between Syracuse and Illinois being ranked in the middle of October, that's a little shocking. If you remember in our little August preview being like Illinois is an absolute dumpster fire, and Syracuse, like, this could be it for Dino. And that just goes to show you never know what happens sometimes in the summer, between August and October when the games are being played. So good for Syracuse. Real test this weekend. They play Clemson and probably have to bet on that game. And Hawaii won their game. Hawaii's actually been on the rise, and that, when we get to our picks, that might be we're kind of alluding to something. But Hawaii's covered 2 games in a row. They won outright. The Timmy Chang era has officially begun for all the fans of the Big Island in Honolulu. A shocking game. Florida in LSU. I did not see LSU scoring 45 in the swamp. Bad job by me. Just didn't see it coming. Now LSU Ole Miss going to be a good game this weekend, and I do kind of like Brian Kelly home cooking in Baton Rouge. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I didn't think LSU would travel very well but yeah, as Florida, all that equity they built from beating Utah Labor Day weekend, that's out the door now. Let's see what else. Yeah, Mississippi State, Kentucky was a pretty good game. Now poor Pirate Mike Leach has to be the victim of Saban. Because now Saban wants to probably whoop some ass, and who is next on the schedule? The Mississippi State Bulldogs. Ooh. And I don't know. I just don't. That could be a tough matchup, even though like Leach has held his own, and Rogers has held his own as well, quarterback for Mississippi State. But Alabama might just have some, like, they might be seeing red. So I don't know. I'd stay away from that one. John already touched on USC Utah. My last thing I'll say is we're all friends of the Tulane program here, Willie Fritz. Dave was high on Willie Fritz before it was cool to be high on Willie Fritz.
Yeah, true story.
And true story. And their over-under this year for wins was 6. And right now they are 6-1. So they just can't go 0-5 from here on out. And they've got, they got Navy on their schedule. They got some winnable games. They got Memphis this week. So project get to 7 is we're ahead of schedule to stay on schedule. Willie Fritz, great job by him. They are just kind of like they're methodical. They're kind of remind me of a Kansas State offense where it's going to take them a little while to get a touchdown, maybe like a 12 to 15 play drive. Got to convert a lot of 3rd and 3s, but their pass defense is what is kind of elevating them this year. They are very hard to throw on. Like, I don't think they're Cincinnati Bearcat good from last year, but they are good. They frustrate other teams' passing offense. So I don't know. They're still going to be a team from the group of 5 that's going to get to a bowl game. And at this point, I don't know who it might be, but Tulane, I mean, they could be there. James Madison can't be because of the qualification situation, but we could talk about that down the road. But yeah, that was my very the disjointed preview or recap of Week 7.
Andy, a great recap though, and I love the shout out to Willie Fritz. I mean, it warms my heart to see that. Like, it's so great to see them rolling. They had their moments. It's so. Now, I mean, gosh, I just, that just makes me, I can't wait to see him in a bowl. I feel like as long as I don't mush it, which could happen, but
Watch it, Dave.
I know. I gotta. I already. You just never know. But a couple of folks, I want to say hello to. Ryan, that E-Flat guy, an incredible penis, has joined us in the chat. So good to see you. Big sports fan, by the way.
What was that?
That E-Flat guy. What are you laughing? Yeah. Oh my gosh, we lost Kevin. But he's a fan of App State and Carolina Hurricane, so repping North Carolina proud. So pianist Kevin. All right. But look who's joined us in the chat as well. Dan Tullis, let's go. It's good to see you, Dan. Front DT back in it. I haven't seen you in a bit, Dan. Welcome in. It's so good to see you. Turbo Swim with a comment. Brown nosing Peyton never. And he adds, I really like Ole Miss, but it will be tough, which is true. I mean, the SEC suddenly become a very deep conference, or maybe it was always this way. But I love the juice. Let's go back to Kevin. Anything you want to add as far as last week's action?
Andy, you weren't kidding. Tulane's ranked now. Did you see that?
I didn't. I'm not a big rankings guy. I
just saw it at the bottom, and you don't that green isn't, and it's not a normal green, and I'm like, what is that name? Oh my goodness!
They got some awesome colors. They got.
And according to our CBS Sports, they are in line for currently the Independence Bowl.
They deserve better.
They got to get better than that.
Keep winning.
They got to get better than that. Yeah. So, as far as and. What was I going to say with what Andy touched on? Oh, TCU. I think they might lose more than once. They've got like K-State, West Virginia. I know Texas Tech and Texas. They'll pull. Yeah, I mean, you said they lose to the one of those games that you least expect, but there's like 4 or 5 that you wouldn't be surprised that they would lose. I'm all for the chaos and not having SEC teams in there. Michigan, that was one of my banks of the week. That was Penn State that's plod central. So yeah. I actually felt, I'm the worst at picking these games, but this was actually the only week I actually felt confident. For some reason. Dino Babers, he was on everybody's hot seat, not even hot seat, like scorching seat. And so was Fritz, for that matter, when the season started. And now I read an article yesterday that Babers was on a Nebraska short list. I'm like, he goes from being run out of Syracuse to now being on a short list at Nebraska. So,
one good thing that happened for Syracuse is they made a hire at offensive coordinator. The guy's name is Robert Anai. He came over from Virginia last year, and that's when Brennan Armstrong had that just unbelievable passing game. And now look at Virginia now. They can't complete the forward pass. That this
oh my God.
Won. So Syracuse is much better because of this. I wouldn't say it's Babers. I'd say it's this Anai guy. He should get the head coach consideration somewhere.
Yeah, and I think the even like the Tennessee, he's built an awesome staff. Like some of these staffs are how they can keep them together. So yeah, I don't really have much else. I mean, Dave. Building on the Dave and Kevin show from last week when everybody was gone, which we talked college football for 4 minutes, and that was
true story
for me to state that every interim coach that coached in a game last week won, which was the only nugget I had. But on top of that, to start off the week, Colorado they had a bye, so they were the team that didn't play. The interims were 5-0, and then the Colorado beats Cal, so they were 6-0 at one point until things went off the rails. So those little things I love. And then stayed up for that Utah USC thing. You guys are all right. I mean, I was like, holy cow. The 18 inning 1-0 game was more exciting. It had more flow to it, I guess I should say, than the USC game. And I'm still waiting. We've got 2 weeks in a row now of no firings. So that's solid, but I think they're just waiting in Auburn and South Florida. I don't know what they're doing with that guy. He's got to go. Other than that, And everyone will just wait for Michigan and Ohio State to play as far as in the middle of the country goes. Everyone else is going to be looking the SEC. But yeah, that's all I got, Dave. What about you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I got burned pretty badly on the Penn State pick. Like, you all had it right with Michigan. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, but Penn State gave us all a good tease too in the first half. Like, they were even winning. I'm like, what the hell? Like, come on, guys. Like, that was my fault. I should not have done that. That was dumb.
But you guys can't wait for Penn State versus Minnesota in prime time this weekend. It's the
Prime
Saturday
time.
night ABC game. It's gonna be fun times with that one.
I know.
That's why Captain's so angry that his precious Yankees have to play in the afternoon. It's like, it's college football Saturday, and they gave the Padres Phillies the nighttime slot. So he's not happy that they have to play at 4 o'clock on the East Coast or 5 o'clock on the East Coast.
I saw that tweet, and I'm like, it does not get more entitled Yankee fan than complaining about not being in prime time in the postseason. It's like, dude, it's like, like, honestly, like, you can't get every single primetime slot all the time in the postseason. It just seems I've talked to him about
And
that.
the news flash is not everybody cares about the Yankees.
Right, exactly. So
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of us out here.
we got into that with the Judge fake home run chase too. Like, that was just ridiculous. Like, I'm done with that. Like, I'm glad he didn't get more.
Buddy Mike going after Bob Costas because he doesn't realize that not everyone knows the history of every Yankee at bat. Every fucking pass ball.
I'm with that so much.
Every
I'm with that so much. Let's welcome in Mon Murky, a fantastic artist in the chat. Welcome in, Mon. It's good to have you back. She's awesome. Don't give our friend Mon a follow too. Did I? Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, we got a shout out there in the chat. So click the link if you'd like to. Pinkcat69 has really goofy. Welcome in Pinkcat69 as well. Yeah, there's an interesting question in the chat. See what you all think of it. And Dan Tullis says, remember when the bye was idle? I do remember that. Y'all remember that? When the bye was idle? I remember that. Good times.
I've seen it. I've still seen Idle in places.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I think it's Idle in college more because it's not. It's all. I think I've seen it more in the college schedule.
Yeah.
So.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that the SEC East now matters. Like, the SEC East used to be a pushover every year. And it was pretty much, and then after a while it was like Georgia and everybody else. And now it's like you've got Georgia and other teams. Like, you've got Kentucky, who's pretty solid. You've got Florida, who's, they had a bad loss against LSU. That's another one where it got burned. I was on Florida, but it's a pretty good division now, I gotta say. So let's go to the picks. Turbo says, you guys should be here listening to the radio here. People calling to complain that the Yankee game was rain delayed. Yeah, that did happen. That did happen. I remember that. Yeah. Ridiculous. So let's get to the picks. And we're going to start with Kevin tonight because Kevin went 4-0 last week. Kev, fantastic work. Let's see if you can keep it continue. What do you have for us this coming week in your two college football picks?
Whoa, I got to go first. That's crazy.
It's.
I usually wait for these guys to give me something.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Thanks, Dave. Well,
you got it.
Oh, what are they? Oh my God, swinging a bat. Anyway, well, I've got like 5. You're killing me because I had 6 games, and usually I cross them off when these guys pick one. But I get so. First game, I'm taking Cincinnati. I saw 3.5, but Dave always ends up telling me the points. I don't really have. This is how horrible I am. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I'll give you the spread.
SMU, and that's more. I like the coach at Cincinnati. The SMU coach is doing all right, but he's just a first-year guy, so I think the Bearcats win that one pretty handily. After that, oh goodness gracious. I need John to tell me why Northern Illinois is favored in anything. But every time I try to mess with these little shitty teams that all these guys know about, I fall flat on my face. So I'm going to... That one's like... I can't even figure that one out. And then the Ole Miss Kiffins... I don't have the guts to pull on that one in the Bayou there either. So I'm going to take... Duke getting 9 in Miami for my second pick. And I threw up a little bit in my mouth just doing that one, but that's really all I got. Houston, I don't know. Kind of wanted Houston at Navy. Maybe I'll let John pick which one I should take.
Okay.
But no, I'm going Duke +9, and Cincinnati I think is -3.5 for my picks.
I'm gonna give you -3 for that game. I'm gonna give you -3. So
all right.
Yeah. So thank you for the picks, Kev. Very nice. Yeah, I think that's a good side of it. And SMU's kind of a sus team anyway. Turbo Swim says we don't have college football, yet they keep pouring money into Rutgers SMH. Oh, Rutgers.
Rutgers.
That's a topic over here on this podcast. That is for sure.
Yeah, he's in the right place if he wants to do that. If we could do a little bit on that at some point.
Yeah, E-Flat says NYU Huskies. Jordan Lynch is long gone. Quite right. I kind of agree with you on that one, Kevin. I don't really know why they would ever be favored in a game. That's a good question. So Andy, would you?
Andy's tearing up tickets.
No, huge DP, not the porno kind, but the Astros hitting to 1. So I'm just tweeting. I'm tweeting to Cap.
Huge DP. Look at that. We're out of the 5th inning just like that, folks, in the ALCS. That's wonderful. All right. So.
I mean, there's an incredible penis in the chat, and
all right. I'm so sorry. I just.
This is. I mean,
I can't.
You guys are familiar with my heart problems, right? I don't know. Take it easy here.
All right. Well. Let's carry on. Let's go to our friend Andy in Seattle. And when you're ready, we're ready for your pick. You're 3-1 last week. Let's see if you can keep it rolling.
Oh, all right. Yeah, thank you. Game number 1. I'm going to take Texas Tech, giving 6.5 versus the West Virginia Mountaineers. This App State game doesn't look so good anymore. But anyway, Texas Tech, they're now on their 3rd string quarterback, but he's not really 3rd string per se. He's like this true freshman phenom. I'm pretty sure he's playing. John can confirm. I'm pretty sure he's playing. But even if he isn't, they have a great passing attack. Their offensive coordinator kind of drives that engine. They're on a bye. Now, the previous week, they did not cover against Oak State. They should have covered, but they did not. Still a little bitter about that. But they can move the ball up and down. And this West Virginia team, although they treated us well last Thursday against Baylor, their defense is just a sieve. And even a team like Rutgers could probably score 35 against them if they had to. And, this is just an instance where I'm going to assume the passing attack of the Red Raiders will kind of just go up and down against West Virginia. Given 6.5 to see what happens. And, give me Texas Tech -6.5, game number 1. Game number 2, I wrote a bunch. Let us go with the we're gonna take ECU. We're gonna take ECU +5 against Central Florida. Now, Central Florida is a very shaky 5-1 in my opinion. Now, I'm heavily biased because I'm not a huge Gus Malzahn fan. I'm still bitter about their week 2 performance against Louisville, where they basically had a great first half and did not do anything in the second half. And now their quarterback is actually throwing the ball a little better. He is the Ole Miss transfer, John Reese Plumlee. Just kind of looks like Ryan Tannehill, but throws like one-armed Ryan Tannehill. He's fast, though. And the whole Central Florida offense is just kind of more horizontal than vertical. And as this program knows, we're a big fan of the ECU quarterback, Colton Ayers. Feels like he's been there forever because he has been there forever. And I just kind of have this theory with East Carolina, take them as underdogs. Even though I didn't, because the one time they didn't cover as take them as underdogs and kind of stay away when they're favorites. When they were favorites this year, there goes App State. They actually lost to Tulane, but that was like, I'm taking Tulane over ECU. In this instance, we're getting 5 against a very shaky I don't believe in Central Florida. I believe in ECU. I think they can win this game outright. And they almost, they almost beat the heavily favored ranked NC State Wolfpack in the beginning of the year. Their kicker's got issues. Their kicker was like preseason All-American in the AAC, and now he can't even be trusted to make extra points. So he's got a little something going on between the ears. But this is going to be a Colton Ayers game. Take care of business against Central Florida. Give me the ECU Pirates +5 for game number 2.
All right, Andy, you got it. Thank you very much for the 2 picks. Digging into the group of 5 this weekend. That's pretty good stuff. So good luck, my friend. We'll go over to John in Connecticut next, and we're ready for your 2 college football picks.
All right, Dave. Yeah, I mean, come on. What's college football without the group of 5?
Right.
You got to dive into those picks. I'm going to do one myself. But first, we're going to start with a little Pac-12 action, and it's going to be Pac-12 after dark. And I'm going to take Cal getting 7.5 points at home against the Washington Huskies. Cal was just completely embarrassed last week, losing at winless and coachless Colorado after they fired their coach. They beat Cal. But that's exactly when you want to buy a team after a loss like that. Coming home against a Washington Huskies team that, they've played pretty well this year. I mean, we talked about it before the season, how their offense is going to be really upgraded with DeBoer coming in as coach and bringing in Michael Penix to be their quarterback, and that's worked out great. However, their defense is an absolute travesty. They lost a bunch of players to the NFL. On their 2 road games that they played this year, they gave up over 40 points to both UCLA. Okay, that's understandable. But they also let the corpse of Arizona State score over 40 on them. I don't think they might win this game, but this is going to be pretty high scoring. I just can't trust that kind of defense to be laying this kind of number on the road that have to play a role here. And I think Cal will have the bounce back performance. They did show a little bit of explosiveness in terms of their offense in the game against Arizona. Their running back ran for like 280 yards in that game. So it's in them to have this kind of performance. So we're going to take them getting the points at home here with the 7.5. So for game 2, we're going to do some group of 5 action. We're going to Conference USA, and we're going to take the UTEP Miners getting 4 at home against Florida Atlantic. This UTEP team, again, has a quarterback that has seemed like he's been there forever, Gavin Hardison. And the key to his game is just they can't turn the ball over, and they're pretty solid. They had a huge win at home last month against Boise State. Then they went on the road and just blew out Charlotte, which, who doesn't? But still, like, UTEP winning on the road is a big deal. They couldn't press their luck the second week in a row as they lost at Louisiana Tech. However, if you look at that game, the box score of that game, they had 4 turnovers, and which decided the game. Otherwise, they outgained La Tech by over 200 yards. So I think this is a good spot. Coming off a bye at home, they're getting 4 points. And let's be honest, do we really trust Florida Atlantic and Willie Taggart to be laying points on the road? Not me. This is a team who could barely beat the Rice Owls at home last week. And their other road games, they were blown out against North Texas. I just don't think this is a very good team, and you're laying 4 points on the road. I don't see it. So we'll take the few points, and we'll take UTEP +4 in addition to Cal +7.5. So we have 2 home dogs, which we love here, to take the home dogs in college football. Week number 8, crazy. We're halfway through the season at this point.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's wild that we're already in week 8. We're halfway through this already, just like that. So, John, thank you very much for the picks, and good luck, of course. Never a bad idea to fade Washington, generally speaking. So good luck to both of those selections. A question for all of you. Oh, by the way, Kevin, welcome into the chat, too. Nice to see you in the chat as well.
Gee, golly, it took me forever. They had made me do 10 different passwords.
Yeah, there's multi-factor is a thing.
It.
Yeah, that's a thing too. So, we're just talking in the chat about Rutgers stories and Rutgers tailgates. Honestly, Rutgers tailgates aren't that bad. I was in one. Our friend TR invited us to one. It was pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff, to be completely honest with you. But anyway, I have a question for the panel at large. So one of our favorite teams this year is UTSA. And this week they're at home against North Texas. They're giving 10. Would either of you play that, or would you fade them?
I actually had it on the list. I'll still play it. It's not a podcast pick, but I'm playing Meat because I haven't played them in a while, and it's an anti-North Texas Mean Green pick that we thought we'd start fading North Texas because John went to the game against UNLV and he's like, we got to start fading the Mean Green, and the following week against Memphis we did, and North Texas actually ended up covering that game, I think, but this is a good spot for Meat -10 in my opinion.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think it's.
I think that's going to be a lot of points. Those two, North Texas defense is just an abomination, and UTSA can be thrown on. So there's going to be a lot. I think the over/under is like 70 something. Like it's rare to say you like an over when it's 70 points, but I mean, I can't bet an under on that with those two teams. And to even more back up with my Florida Atlantic pick, North Texas beat Florida Atlantic like 2 or 3 weeks ago at home. So they suck on the road. So UTEP, let's go. Minor Nation, baby.
Do it up. All right. So thanks everybody for your advice. So let's go take a look at the featured games of the week in college football. We have a bunch. Like if you take a look.
What about your picks and Ron's picks?
Sorry, thanks. Thank you, John. Good call.
No, thanks, John, for keeping this on schedule. Dave's jumping all over the place. He's a lunatic.
Hey, listen. We'll go through these quickly. I'll make it short and sweet, everybody. So let's first go get Ron's picks first. Ron is our 5th panelist on the program, folks. He's not here tonight, but he sends his picks via the text, and we're looking forward to having him back here. He's great. His favorite.
He's on a milk carton now. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, he's going to Disney World this weekend, though. So good spot for him and his family. So. It has been a minute. Since he's been on the actual podcast, but good. It's all right. It's all right. Good times for Ron. We send him our best, and he sends us these picks. Let's get to them. So here they are tonight for week number 8. Ron in New Jersey has these 2 picks from college football. Now, I didn't notice that his first pick was actually for a game in progress, but I'll allow it since he sent it to me in the afternoon. But he's going to go Georgia State getting 9.5 against Appalachian State. All right, fine, I'll take it. But interesting to pick a game that's already in progress. But he sent it earlier. It's fine. So game number 2 for Ron. He's going to go Oklahoma State getting 6.5 versus Texas. Now, after Texas has been off, had a pretty good 2-week run, it does seem like a pretty good spot for Oklahoma State to be at home and getting points. So, they're a pesky team anyway. So I think it's a pretty solid pick too. So Ron's picks once again, Georgia State plus 9.5 and Oklahoma State plus 6.5 for week 8. And yes, John, thank you for reminding me to also give my picks too. So let's go to them. Here we go. Here are my picks for week 8. Here we go. And so this is what we're going to come up with. We're going to run with these 2 games. I actually had 3 games I wanted to pick, so I'm going to select 2, and I'll use 1 as a bonus. So we're going to start with Kansas and Leopold, who's just had a great year, in coaching this team. He's really coached them up. I know they had they lost by a bunch of points to Oklahoma, but all in all, Kansas has been a very gritty, gutty team, and I know that their quarterback had been out for a couple weeks too, and so he might be back this week. So I'm gonna ride that possibility. We're gonna go with Kansas getting the 8 at Baylor. Baylor's a good team too. Granted, they only won by 3 last week, so I do find them a little bit sus. I think this will be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. Big 12 generally does not disappoint. Games are often close. Games are often high scoring. I know there's a risk involved with it. Oh my goodness, we got a home run here in Houston, but we'll go Kansas plus 8 to start game number 1. Game number 2, we're going to go checker with Ron's pick of Oklahoma State getting 6.5 versus Texas. I feel like Texas is due for a letdown at some point. I feel like this is the point. Mike Gundy's a great coach, and I think he's going to have his team ready to go. Getting 6.5 at home, I kind of wish it was 7. I might even buy it up to 7 in real life, but for the podcast purposes, we're going to stay with the pick as is. So our picks, Kansas getting 8, Oklahoma State getting 6.5. Let's give you a bonus pick. I like Boston College a lot, getting 20.5 at Wake Forest, because the question is as simple as this. When has Wake Forest put away anybody in the ACC? Tell me. Has it happened? I mean, I love Sam Hartman in Wake Forest, but the one thing about them is their defense just generally is not good. And I think there's an overreaction to Boston College's, just
humiliating loss to Clemson recently. I get it. But Jurkovec is a good quarterback, and I think we'll end up with a pretty close game here. So those are my picks. Kansas +8, Oklahoma plus 6.5, and our bonus pick of Boston College plus 20.5 for college football coming up in week 8. All right, so let's go take a look at our picks, our NCAA featured games of the week. There are a bunch of them. Pinball Sorcerer, welcome in. It's good to see you again, our good friend Pinball Sorcerer from the Twitch side. Nice to see you tonight. Pinball Sorcerer does stream from time to time, so give our friend a follow. He also is a mod. He also is a great friend of the Sandwich Show as well. So nice to see you again. So here are our featured games, week number 8. There are a lot of games that could be sneaky good. I don't know if there's necessarily a de facto great game here. But it's not even through Boston College Wake Forest, because I feel like I'm anticipating a close game, but we don't actually know that yet. So number 14 Syracuse against number 5 Clemson. I don't know. Y'all, I'd love to hear your all's thoughts on it. Ole Miss versus LSU though, that could be a good game. You all have been on top of that one. Number 7 Ole Miss in Death Valley to face the Tigers on CBS at 3:30 Eastern on Saturday. Number 9 UCLA faces number 12 Oregon at 3:30 Eastern on Fox. And then at the same time of those two games, you're going to see number 20 Texas take on number 11 Oklahoma State. We covered that in picks, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. So a lot of great stuff happening in the 3:30 Eastern slate. Oh my goodness, the Boston College game's also at 3:30. That's on ACC Network against number 13 Wake Forest. So there you go. 3:30's got a lot going on. At nighttime, it looks pretty bleak, except for Kansas State, ranked number 17 against number 8 TCU at 8 o'clock on FS1. And I threw in keep an eye on UT Martin versus number 3 Tennessee, because you can only imagine how big a letdown the Vols are going to have after beating Alabama. I mean, I'm not going to say that UT Martin's going to beat them, but it would not surprise me if that game was close. But although, granted, it wouldn't surprise me if they got blown out either. But still, you figure Tennessee's going to throw their C game at them. We'll see. So, fellas, let's look at this week's action. There's a lot to talk about. John, I'll go to you first. What do you think about the slate this week in college football?
Yeah, some decent matchups there on paper. I think the first game you have to look at is that Oregon and UCLA game. Kind of mentioned it earlier. I mean, the Pac-12 is still very much up for grabs between really 4 teams. I would say the 2 that are playing here, and then Utah and USC, who played just last week. This Oregon UCLA game probably going to be a lot of points. I mean, they look terrible against Georgia week 1, but I mean, who doesn't look bad against Georgia? Since then they played, phenomenal. I mean, we've seen the good Bo Nix, and when he shows up, Oregon plays, really well. Their offense has been really explosive, and we'll see if they can do it again here at home. This is really UCLA's first true test on the road. I know they had a road game at Colorado, but I mean, let's be honest, we're not going to consider Colorado a formidable opponent, but what else can you say about how DTR has played, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, their quarterback, and the job that Chip Kelly has done building up that program from where he got, from when he first got there to now, when they're a top 10 team. So the winner of this game is going to be right in the mix for, Pac-12 title contention. I'd have to check the rest of the schedules. I think Oregon doesn't play USC. I could be wrong about that, but I remember picking them before the year because their schedule was really favorable. So I don't think they play USC. We do know UCLA and USC will play. They have their rivalry game coming up. But this is going to be a really good game. Oregon's playing 6. I mean, feels like a few too many to me. I don't know if I'm probably going to bet it, but my lean would be UCLA in this one, I would say, with points. This should be another high-scoring game. And the over-under here is 70 as well. And again, I don't want to be on the under for sure in this one. See the other games on your list there, Dave. Yeah, Ole Miss, LSU. This is the interesting scenario of the unranked team being favored at home over the ranked team. In this case, a top 10 team going on the road and is the underdog. And, if you blindly bet this, and me and Andy should start tracking this, but I think even in our own minds, when we blindly bet the home team giving the points here, it's got to be at least 60 or 70% winning. It's not 100%, but it's usually the good play to take the home team in this spot. Mr. Cajun himself, Brian Kelly, could get a big win here in the SEC West. Ole Miss has been impressive, but really their schedule hasn't been very good. I mean, they played Georgia Tech, they played Vanderbilt, they played Tulsa. I think that was their closest game is when they played Tulsa. They played Kentucky. I don't think Will Levis, he might have been injured in that game. So their schedule hasn't been that impressive. And I think the line is just telling you what you really got to bet for this game. So we'll probably take LSU as the short home favorite in this SEC matchup. The Texas-Oklahoma State game, I think I saw Sanders. It might be out with an injury. So if he's out, I don't know. I don't want any part to do with this game. But if he's playing, I'll take Oklahoma State getting all those points at home. I mean, Texas, the one time they lost was on the road at Texas Tech. Again, like go on the road and winning in college football is like the toughest thing to do. So if Sanders is in, I'll take Oklahoma State with the points. I mean, the Big 12, we've talked about this before. 1 through 10, like all 10 of those teams could be bowl teams. It's the deepest conference in college football, and basically any one of them can beat any other on any given weekend. So you expect a lot of close games in this conference, and I think that's what you get here if Oklahoma State's at full health, and even if not, I mean, Andy said it, like Gundy seems to pull these games out of his ass a number of times, and so I could see them covering this for sure with the 6.5 points. Yeah, Syracuse, Clemson. I don't know. Syracuse, good for them, but like they're clear. I don't think they're the 14th best team in the country. Do I want to lay 14 with Clemson though? Like, I don't know. This is like your complete stay away game for me. Clemson will probably win, but I don't know if I want anything to do with this. And then the other Big 12 game you have there, Dave, Kansas State, TCU. Very interesting contrast of styles here in this game because you have TCU with Dykes and Max Duggan. They want to, go up tempo and run this fast-paced offense, and they have just tons of explosive players. And then on the other side, you had Kansas State in like kind of their grinding run offense with Adrian Martinez, and they want to play good defense. So it's a very good clash of styles. We haven't seen anyone really slow down TCU yet on offense, but if any team in the Big 12 can do it, it's Kansas State, and they're just so well coached. I might take a chance here with Kansas State as if it's more than a field goal. I think this will be a pretty close game, but yeah, that's definitely the game to watch on Saturday night. And then I'll just throw out there, this is like kind of separation Saturday in the AAC, a great schedule of AAC games. You have the Cincinnati and SMU game. You have Houston at Navy. You have the UCF at East Carolina game, which I think was all picked here on the show. And then Tulane and Memphis. So some great AAC matchups, which should probably decide the conference pecking order this weekend. And I would tend to agree with Andy. I like ECU getting the points at home in that one. And then I think Navy will probably beat Houston outright. Cincinnati, SMU, I don't know. I think SMU is kind of I don't know what to make of them. That backdoor cover against Navy, it helped me out, but I don't know if I still might like Cincinnati in that matchup. Well, they have some injury concerns too, so we need to keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's not an amazing schedule of games on paper, but it should still be impactful in terms of the national landscape. So should be a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, John. It's really interesting how many interesting matchups we have. Let's catch up on chat too. Chat had some comments on some of these games. That E-flat guy, Syracuse is legit, but it's at Clemson. I think Clemson wore them down. I think we're all on the same page on that one. E-flat says, Davey, no chance UT Martin does anything beyond the first half. So chat called me out on that. That's fine. I mean, it would be cool if they did, but realistically, I don't. UT Martin's pretty. They're an FCS team. Like they would be. It would be wild. It would be wild. So Arg Pirate says E-flat again, and we go over to Andy and let's get your thoughts on this week's action.
Yeah, I'm pretty cranky right now. App State is now up 14. I mean, it's crazy what 30 minutes on this show can do. Astros are up 3-1. Had the Knicks +5, and I just wanted them to lose by 3 in regulation. Now it looks like we're going to overtime where dogs fucking die a lot. So yeah, just bitter, stupid stuff on the television screen. Following captain's tweets, clean house, new slate. Schmidt ain't it. I don't know, fan base stuff. But yeah, what we're talking about, the good games for this week. Yeah, I agree with I agree with John about UCLA, Oregon. That's a crazy game. I would probably, if gun to my head, I probably would take Oregon just because, the Oregon fan base might have it up for Kelly. That's not an offensive foul!
Wait, we're talking NBA here?
Fuck! Just end the game! Fuck! That was a fucking and one. They're calling a charge.
Oh, really?
Durant, but fuck. Knicks, they're gonna die in overtime. But Jesus fucking Christ, you gotta let that go. Maybe they'll overrule it. I don't know. We're going to overtime. But for Texas Oak State, the Sam Sanders injury looms large. But just a little thumbnail on Texas, hate him or love him. Sark's kind of a quirky coach, but that quarterback is the real deal. And as he goes, they go. And for those 2.5 games when they had to play with Houston Card, they were just an absolute shell of themselves. And this guy just likes to sling it. He's got his mullet, and so that'll be an interesting game. I forget why he put the Boston College Wake Forest game on there, but what was the significance?
Well,
of
the
that?
idea was that maybe
because I think he picked the game.
Actually,
So
right. That's actually
he wants
right.
everyone. He wants everyone.
Very biased decision.
Okay. Sounds like
He's got stock in the ACC network.
I gotcha.
It's not really a great game. I just thought that maybe you might be one of those sneaky good games that might go to overtime or something. But you're right.
Where's Hawaii, Colorado State, Dave, on your list if we're including
I know
games
we're gonna
that-
do that. That's a good.
We're including BC.
Right,
Exactly.
seriously.
Yeah, all right. That's fair. That's fair points.
He's got
fair points. Yeah, that was bad.
And then I'm falling in on the Brian Kelly trap, and I'm taking. I wish that game was at 7:00 in Baton Rouge. Not to sound like the Cajun caps. Why isn't our game at 7:00 in Baton Rouge? But they'll have a very well intoxicated crowd at 3:30 for Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler. I think it's a difference in competition for Lane Kiffin. If you follow Ole Miss this year, you've realized that they go out, they get ahead rather quickly to these inferior opponents, and then they don't really do anything in the second half. They're not they can't. That game plan, I don't think, will be successful against LSU, especially at LSU. And Dave, I know, in the beginning of we're I'm curious to see Ole Miss this year with Jackson Dart, and we still are. But I just think Jaden Daniels, BK, and the Baton Rouge crowd is just going to be too much for the Lane train. I also think he used a lot of his bad karma trying and successfully covering against Vanderbilt when they could have taken knees and they didn't, and that's going to come back and bite them in the ass at some point. And I think that might be this Saturday. He got, good for him that day, and good for the boosters that took Ole Miss against Vanderbilt, because they were definitely playing for the cover.
Oh my God.
100%.
Yeah.
That was a bad beat with Stanford Steve and Scott Van Pelt, but give me LSU. And then we touched on that Syracuse Clemson game. I don't know. I've already watched my season quota of ACC pigskin this year, so I don't know. But it's a full slate, and will be all in from start to finish with the baseball and all the other stuff. No apple picking. It's actually going to be a rainy day. Bigly rainy day this Saturday. So JB,
here we go.
Jerry Recco.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say.
And I'll be happy with that rainy weather in Seattle. So
right.
I'm sad. The Yankees are they're losing now, and the season's over. I feel like I'm in the clubhouse right now.
Are you thinking clean house, Andy?
Yeah.
Fan base.
No matter what happens, yeah.
I gotta go back and read Cap's tweets. The Cap is at GoGJ2 if any of you in the chat want to read his nonsense in the Twitter. But our friend Jerry Will definitely is very passionate about the Yankees, but often can run off the seat of his pants with his thoughts. So
I actually bet. I mean, I bet the Yankees tonight. Like I'm legit. Like pissed.
Yeah, I hear it. All right, folks. So let's go to Kevin. Any thoughts you had on this week's action?
Just the Astros are hitting Yankee Stadium home runs, which is pretty nice to see. And and these guys cover all that. I've just during that time I've been trying to figure out what the hell the Twitch chat thing is. There's like different little things and jewels, and I got 50 points for doing something. I don't even know what it was. I got like
it's just for watching.
Maybe
like the amount of
cool
time you watch, you gain
something.
points. Yeah.
And guys, they have their own Dave like. What are those like? Are they not gifts or like the emoji? Is there emojis? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, emotes. We call them emotes. Yeah. So those are
well, whatever that is. They have their own version, like the old board used to have of Dave's face. They have their own Dave faces, but they're more action oriented. It's pretty wild in here. It's really cool. And the sandwich people know way more about college football than Dave let on. They're actually, if you think way back to the old show when we had a chat room. I feel like this crew is actually much smarter.
Oh my God! You're gonna out our old chat room, the old Blog Talk chat.
They were more maybe more. I don't know. This is
Kevin. My goodness.
I don't know. I'm sure some guy is asking if you've ever seen a hockey hair challenge for the Minnesota high school.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
I'm sure Andy has seen that.
Have you seen that, Andy? The hockey. He said, "Spoiler alert: lots of mullets."
No, not specifically. I mean, I know hockey hair.
Yeah.
But...
Okay. Yeah. No, those guys covered. I'm more perplexed. Just like Andy, that's why Dave is highlighting the BC just to highlight his pick getting destroyed. Bloodbath.
Oh my goodness! It did not take long for everybody to start trolling over here. But listen, I normally don't do that. That was a bad job. Okay, I admit it was a bad job. Like it's a 20-point spread. There's obviously a reason why it's a 20-point spread. But let me tell you this. If it's a one possession game in the fourth quarter, y'all gonna be like, you know what? Dave was right. But maybe not. No. All right, fair enough. By the way, so E-Flat had the question, have you guys ever seen the Hockey Hair Challenge for Minnesota high school hockey? One of the best bits of sports content anywhere. So if you have a chance to see that, go check that out too. That'll conclude our spot on college football, which means we're going to segue now to the NFL. And from the NFL last weekend, quite a bit. Just trust me, no one will say Dave. You're fitting in great. This is what the podcast community says too. Like everybody has caught on to my mush. So last week's action was great. Obviously, a lot of really exciting stuff in the witching hour, as you would expect. The light side was actually surprisingly disappointing. I have to say, strangely enough, I thought I would be seeing more out of that Buffalo Kansas City game. But a great job out of the Bills getting the win. It was weird to see a game like that with a scoreless first quarter. It was weird. It's weird, but John was in the building for the Packers. I'm actually going to go to Andy first, and let's get your thoughts on last week's NFL action. I mean, there were certainly moments one way or another, right, Andy? So let's get your thoughts on all the stuff that happened, all the scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on a few angles. I'm sure all of us will kind of say similar things, like it's the Jet-Giant Super Bowl collision at this point. I was shocked to see the Jets, basically have their way in Green Bay. Rodgers, he looks sad. He needs his receivers. Like Romeo Doubs is awesome, and Lazard's great, but they don't have much of a running game, and I don't know. They just, John can speak to it much better than me. It just seems like they're trying to just get the home run ball every time, and I don't know. It's just I think they'll figure it out because the I don't think the Vikings are a real 5-1 team either. So, and the Bears suck and the Lions suck. So that division is still totally up for grabs. And Tom Brady looks sad. He looks depressed. Even rich people go through ups and downs. And against the Pittsburgh secondary without Minkah Fitzpatrick, basically suiting up guys that were on the street last week, and they couldn't get the job done against the Steeler team. You lost to Mitch Trubisky. I mean, that's just wild. Giants. I mean, the Ravens. That game's more on like I guess the Giants have a great D, great strong. But they have a good D, but the Ravens cannot be blowing 10-point leads to, of all teams, the New York Giants. But then again, they've already blown leads to the Dolphins. They've lost some wacky games this year. It's just been kind of a strange season. It's like we joke about the NFL wet dream of having like everyone 8-8 on the last week of the season. That's obviously not going to happen. But you have a lot of 3-3 teams this year. You have a lot of 3-3 teams, and there's contenders and there's pretenders. There's teams that will eventually find their equilibrium. The Dolphin Viking game was an absolute bore. The Chief, I like the Chief Bill game. I had the Bills, so called it. That was it was very unmethodical, uninspiring first quarter because both teams like sputtered in the other team's red zone. But the Bills are the real deal. Obviously, not breaking anything new. The Falcons remain to be a frisky team. Make a fucking tackle. Dave, this show started and it's going to be 28-3.
Oh my
Georgia,
gosh.
28-3 App State.
Oof.
What a fucking joke.
That one
Try not to be mad at our host here, but God.
Don't worry. No, it's all right. It's all right.
What other thoughts? Yeah, the Patriots have Zappy fever as the Astros just hit another home run. I feel sick to my stomach. These Yankees better be going to bed. No alcohol, no room service, no going out. They need 9 hours of sleep, ready to go tomorrow. I'm taking bed check on the Yankees in their hotel. Get some sleep. The Sunday night game, what are you going to do? The Cowboys were obviously a little ahead of schedule, and, the Eagles are still – they haven't really shown any, weaknesses yet. They've got a great running game. Jalen Hurts has proven his doubters wrong. He's got weapons to throw to. The Eagles are definitely legit so far. I know we've only played like a third of the season, but the Cowboys, they held their own while Dak was out. Obviously, Cooper Rush is not the long-term answer, and he just kind of set them completely backwards, with those early interceptions and stuff, and they couldn't come back. The way they're built without Dak Prescott, they're not coming back from those types of deficits, and they didn't. What else? Give me some of the other games. I don't know. This program was all in on Bailey Zappi when he was at Western Kentucky, and the best thing that happened to him was Jed Hoyer getting a concussion and getting into that game against Green Bay, and he's doing well. And recency bias. Mac Jones is all hobbled up. He looks a lot more like a doofus at this point. I would just keep it up with Zappy. That Patriot schedule soft, and they got the Bears coming up. So you'd rather play with 100% Zappy than a 70% Mac Jones at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Seahawks is playing surprisingly well. The fact that Seahawks defense is awful. We've seen it. We've seen it get shredded to bits. And then enter in Ryan Gosling and Kyler fucking Murray, two fucking Beavis and Buttheads, Rocksteady and Bebop. Please keep that team together as long as possible so you can fade them. I mean, they have no game plan. Kyler Murray just doesn't look like he has any sort of clue. And Gosling just shows up with his little playbook and his black collared, mock turtleneck or whatever, and with his sunglasses on, and it doesn't look like he knows anything, especially in that's actually when you should look your best with those scripted first drives, and they just look so awful. he might get fired. He might get fired this year. Extension be damned. But the Cardinals are a hot mess, and unfortunately, the Saints and the Cardinals are the game tomorrow, and you have to bet on one of them, or you don't. But it was just, Dave, you mentioned it in the chat. Like, there's just a lot of bad football out there. Which, if you are one of those teams that came out of the gate, like a skittish racehorse, you have time to turn it around, because there's really no it's basically the tallest midget right now, unless you're the Bills or the Eagles or the Chiefs, arguably. Like, you're the tallest midget, and the good thing about the NFL playoffs, a lot of midgets get in that postseason in January. Like, even a team like the Bengals, Bengals are not on all cylinders, but they have all the skilled players to be there at the end of the year, and the Rams look like crap, but they played Carolina, so they'll be fine. There's a lot of teams on bye this week too. So, and Dave, if you don't have this specific game on your upcoming map, I'm gonna have to tease you again, but we'll see.
Wait, which one? Which one?
Well, I'm not burying the lead. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Well, like I think I do. It was a struggle finding games to put on that featured game thing, to be honest with you. But I think the one you're talking about might be on there. We'll see. John, you were in the building for the Packers' unfortunate loss to the Jets. But other than that, let's get to your thoughts on last week's action.
Yeah, so I can't be of much help to the 1 o'clock games. I can give some random thoughts on it that I saw from highlights and whatnot. But yeah, I was there for Green Bay and New York. Honestly, I'm not one of those people, look at the total yardage. They had the same number of yards. But honestly, the Packers and Jets had the same number of yards. Like, it wasn't a 27-10 game, really. There were just a couple of key plays that the Jets made. They had the block punt for a touchdown. That was a huge play. They blocked a Packers field goal in the first quarter. They got some timely sacks on Rodgers. Zach Wilson didn't really have a good game, but he made a couple throws when he had to. Like, he made some deep throws, and then they just started to wear Green Bay down with their running game. Breece Hall, he is a legit player. So the Jets, they got some good young talent. So I'll give them all the credit, for going in there and just completely frustrating anything that Green Bay wanted to do. As Appalachian State scores another touchdown. So Dave, we're jinx here is not working out. We need a back to recover from Georgia State at this point. But the Packers offense at the moment, it's just, I don't know. It's just really plotting, which is just crazy to say, because usually they're very explosive. Obviously, not having Adams is huge. But Dubs is going to be a really good player. They do miss Christian Watson, even though he's had some issues with drops. He's like the fastest player on the team, arguably one of the fastest players in the league. Like, you can just see his speed. It's just insane. And when he's not there, run routes down the field, it doesn't open. When he's there, it opens it up like the middle of the field for the other receivers. But without him, there's no explosiveness. They have the defense is all within like a 10-yard window. So then you can't get Aaron Jones in space, and he's arguably their second most dynamic player. So they can't get him going. The offensive line is terrible in that they have the wrong guys at the wrong positions. Elton Jenkins should not be playing tackle. He should be playing guard. I don't know why they keep putting him at tackle, but they just have a lot to figure out. I'm not going to write the season off as a lost cause or anything, because like Andy's talking about, the season's wide, it's wide open, especially in the NFC. And, they just need to work through this, get some injured players back, and see where it goes. I don't think – I'm not going to call the season over by a long shot. It's certainly been disappointing, but I'm not going to go that far. They have talented players on defense too, so I'm not going to write it off, but just certainly disappointing. Ever since that game in London, the second half against the Giants was just absolutely pathetic. The Giants have the magic this year. Apparently, they just whatever they do, it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to pull it out of their ass every week. Apparently, they did that again against the Ravens here on Sunday. I didn't see that game, obviously, but. I saw the score. The Ravens were up 10 in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing that. The Bucs-Steelers game was really surprising. I kind of liked Pittsburgh as like a pick for, getting all the points. But then, I saw the same thing about their secondary. Like, they had no secondary. I was like, all right, well, this is probably not going to work out too well. So I stayed away from Pittsburgh because the line jumped from 7.5 to 10. Like, all right, I'll stay away from Pitt. And they end up winning outright. that's a pretty bad loss for the Bucs. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Brady just feels like in his comments today, it's like he says the season was akin to like military service, like a deployment. It's like, whoa, Tom, like let's calm down here a little bit, buddy. Rough comments, and just like it just goes to show you, like, he really didn't probably want to come back to play this year. It's just he wanted to get away from his family and the whole deal of his. He's going through the divorce with his wife. I feel I feel bad for the guy. He's going through a lot, and it's just clearly affecting his play at the moment. So we'll see if they can turn things around. That's all I got on the 1:00 games. Yeah, the Chiefs-Bills game was pretty good. Romo called it. He called the exact score at the beginning of the game,
Wow.
24-20. Yeah, he said, "Oh yeah, this is a 24-20 game, Jim," and he was right. And Buffalo, they had the drive at the end, didn't leave time for Mahomes, and get sneak out of there with a win, and that'll probably decide home field advantage in the AFC. And that was a huge win for Buffalo. Not to say that the Chiefs couldn't win in Buffalo, but I think it would matter more to the Bills having home field than the Chiefs at this point. The Cardinals, they just like. I think I saw a stat they have 3 points in the first quarter all year, and that just goes to show you like the preparation that Kingsbury is doing. And then they give Murray like that huge contract with the clause that he like has to do film study. Like anyone who could see the writing on the wall, like why are they putting that in the contract if he wasn't doing that to begin with? Oh, it's a show of good faith. Like shut the fuck up. Like no, it's not. He's clearly not doing what he's supposed to be doing in terms of his responsibilities as an NFL starting quarterback. They're a complete disgrace. But Andy's right. Like, how do you take the Saints on the road either tomorrow night? Like, talk about a brutal game. Like, absolute gun to my head. Like, I'd probably take the Saints just because the Cardinals are just absolutely unbettable. At least the Saints have shown some life in a lot of these games and easily could have won against the Bengals on Sunday. And they're still missing all those guys, so it doesn't matter. They're missing Thomas and Olave, and I saw the Lattimore, the cornerback, is out, but still. Give me anybody over this Cardinals team at the moment. So I'd probably win the Saints, and also over. I think there could be some points scored in that one if Kingsbury could actually come up with a halfway decent game plan. The Sunday night game, Cooper Rush turned into a pumpkin, but we were kind of expecting that at some point. The Eagles are good, but the one thing is like they haven't played from behind yet. Like they've just been ahead in every single game. I'd like to see them playing from behind and like Hurts having to lead a comeback. It just continues overall. I guess the theme of the week is there's just a lot of bad quarterback play. Offenses are still really struggling. Maybe that's why like they keep calling these ridiculous penalties on roughing the passer because they want it more points in the NFL. I mean, maybe that's a theory. I don't know. And then that Monday night game. Oh my God, that was a rough watch. Can we get the Broncos, like, banish them from the NFL or, like, just off TV?
That's a great question.
We don't need to see Hackett and washed-up Russell Wilson anymore. Like, what an absolute joke. And the fact that the Chargers could only beat that team by 3 points. I mean, the Denver defense is good. I'll give them credit. But, my God, I commented on Twitter, like, Denver is like Iowa on offense, basically. It's just – they can't score more than 10 points in a game.
Yeah.
And I wish, like, the opening line for the – Denver Jets game was like -3.5 Denver. I was going to put a lot of money on the Jets, but unfortunately it's much, it's like almost a pick 'em now. And the over-under was in the 40s. I was about to hit that too. And now you can't find a 40 anywhere. But that was a rough game. But that was on my flight on the way home. I got to watch that. So at least it was better than just kind of dealing with the other passengers. You could watch the game on the plane. So little wins in life, I guess. Even if it was the Broncos, it helped pass the time a little bit. So, interesting week for sure. But just overall, the theme of just rough quarterback play and bad offense continues, and we'll see if it picks up over the second half of the season.
Yeah, you're really right about that. Like, it's kind of tough to find really any great quarterback. I mean, like every division's got like 2 or 3 bad quarterbacks in it, or maybe underwhelming is the word I would use here. Turbo Swim says a total QBR 46.6 regarding Murray. Listen, he's studying very hard. That's nearly 50%. And then he also says clearly his witch wife stopped giving him superpower, meaning Giselle Bundchen. And then Romo's still wife's still working only conclusion. Jamie's in the chat. Jamie8888. Welcome in, Jamie. She's one of our mods here on our Sandwich Show chat. It's good to have you back here. Big sports fan too, by the way. Patriot fan, FYI. Turbo Swim says Brian Dable is in for Coach of the Year at this rate. That is a name. Wow. Stuart Hayek says season is over the day they lost to the Vikes. Yeah, that first.
Who's that, Packers?
Yeah, that went back in week 1. Yeah. That's
when Watson dropped the pass on the first play of the season, it set the tone for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's still half a season to go, right? Well, for all these teams. So I don't know. I mean, and Stewart was really not that high on the Vikings either. I think he's kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, although he still thinks that they're going to go 7-1, and then I think they're going to level off in a big way. So we'll see if that's true. Stewart's a big Vikings fan. He's from Winnipeg, so Winnipeg's closest to Minneapolis, so that's like the local team over there. All right, so Kevin, any thoughts on the last week's action? You went 4-0. Good stuff.
My only thought is that Jacksonville loses to the Colts. The Dolphins at home lose to the Vikings. And then Tampa Bay loses to the Steelers, which therefore makes, appropriately, Florida the toilet of not just the NFL weekend, but the country. And the capital of football is now New York, which, as Andy knows, the capital of baseball in the 1950s.
Yes.
According to Ken Burns, was New York. Now you've got Bills 5-1, Giants 5-1, the Jets 4-2.
I do think that
Florida remains the toilet, and it's all about New York.
It's kind of amazing that I think I'm more surprised at the Giants than the Jets even, if that makes any sense. I don't know why, but I just feel like the Giants. I just don't understand how they're winning these games. Like, where is the offense coming from? That definitely shocked me that comeback. But good on them, I guess. But I feel like course correction is coming for both those teams. We'll see. John, you mentioned
West Coast bias.
Hey, listen, I'm down on the Rams, so I mean, to a point, it's a West Coast bias. You know, the Rams are very fortunate to cover that. They look bad in the first half. We'll see. So
one more update.
10.
One more update.
Yeah,
guys.
same.
I got 50 more points in Dave's chat room. I don't know. I'm sure how, but I got 50 points somehow.
As you watch the channel, you'll get points in the chat. So that's
listen. Don't poo my points.
No, I'm not. I'm giving you credit. And TurboSwim says Barkley, which is valid. Yeah.
Dave, I forgot to say before, I saw a celebrity on my trip to Green Bay.
Oh, nice.
So you guys will never guess who I saw.
Oh, wait, on the airplane?
No, it was at the casino.
Okay.
I told you the sportsbook casino there. So it was the night after the game. I'm obviously there to just drink my sorrows away and gamble, of course. And sure enough,
Wisconsin.
I walk in and there's these people, all these Jets fans taking pictures with this guy. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? Then it just, had a drink or whatever. And then it hit me because they started doing the J-E-T.
Oh, no.
I swear to God, it was Fireman Ed. Was right there, literally 5 feet away from me. Didn't drink, didn't pay for a drink the whole night. Had people coming up talking to him. Oh, I've been a fan of yours for God knows how long. So, saw Fireman Ed up close and personal. So to add insult to injury to my trip.
Amazed. Oh
awful.
My gosh. Poor John.
I mean, you could only have gotten worse if Evan Roberts showed up.
Or yeah, true story. Yikes. Fireman Ed. Oof. All right, so let's get to it. We got time for picks, so let's roll it down the panel. Let's go back to Kevin on the Cape, and this is a tough slate to pick. I'm having a really tough time finding these lines. I wish that Jets game was +7. That would have been a lot easier pick at +7 than +1. I don't have any idea. But Kev, when you're ready, let's get your picks for the Week 7 NFL action.
Well, I had the Jets and the Giants last week, so that was fun.
Oh man, wow!
I almost want to do it again.
For you. Yeah, no, seriously. You know, last year
I want to go back.
To do a parlay of those two teams' money lines would have been a big day. Right? Wouldn't that have been a big day? But anyway, on to your picks.
And I don't think I have the guts to do it again, but my first pick is going to be the Cowboys over the Lions. I think it's 7. Something
It's 7.
Like that.
Ooh, man. Wow.
And
no, I'm with. Cool.
then my second pick is I'm going with Cloud Central. All NFC East this week. You want to go with the Giants? Cowboys and the Giants. Cloud City.
All right. And now let me go figure out what the odds are for that game. 1 sec. Just give me a second here.
Oh, son of a! Who hit that?
Was it the $1 billion man? Who was that?
No, he struck out.
Oh, okay. Well, the Yankees got a home run in there somewhere.
Is that Rizzo?
Is that Rizzo? Well, anyway, the Yankees have just have cut the lead to 2 runs, so it's 4-2 Astros in the 8th. But against the Giants are getting 3 at the Jaguar. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. That's a pretty solid pick. Okay, cool. Kev, good luck. Thank you very much for the picks.
Man.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, definitely. I'm rooting for all of us to roar back here so we can get above 500 for the season. So, Andy, we're ready for your picks as well, and we're very interested to see what you got this week for the NFL.
Yeah, thanks. And then after that, I got to go back to the laundry room. I'm doing laundry, so, the cycle. But so, yeah, but I'll be back after. Game number 1, I'm taking the Seahawks. I don't say it like that, but I'm taking the Seahawks as our quest to get over 5.5 games is there. They're 3-3. But yeah, we're getting sticks from the LA Chargers. So good luck, Yachts. Congratulations, Yachts. Sorry, Yachts. Hang in there, Yachts. Do well, Yachts, but don't cover, Yachts. And this is just I don't know. Why am I taking the Seahawks? I don't know. Geno Smith is playing well. They've got weapons at wide receiver. Their defense sucks. I'll give you that. But, the thing about the Chargers, that the Chargers, they have this affinity of keeping things interesting when they really don't have to keep things interesting sometimes. So, the Chargers could be up 28-7, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then they do Charger kind of things, and next thing you know, Geno Smith is leading the Seahawks for a little backdoor magic. So, and yeah, as the other guys have alluded to and mentioned, the Chargers just, they've laid some eggs in the beginning of the year. Eckler is king again from a fantasy standpoint, but they look so awful against Denver. And yeah, Denver does have a good defense, but that overtime was just absolutely horrendous. John's right. That was a Big Ten box score, or the play summary. Punt, 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 punt. And the thing about the other thing about the Chargers is that coach just loves to do weird things and go for it on like 4th and 7 and 4th and 7 from midfield, or 4th and 2. Sometimes he doesn't like to just take the easy guaranteed point. So if the Seahawks can get lucky and maybe stop the Chargers on a few 4th downs, the cover's right there, the game's right there. So give me the Seahawks +6 for game number 1. In game number 2, I'm taking the Houston Texans.
Oh my!
Houston Texans, yeah, fresh off a bye.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm taking the Texans. Deal with it. Tilt like Mushnick, but I'm taking them getting 7 against the Raiders. Now, the Raiders obviously are, some people say they might be the best 1-4 team in the NFL, and while that might be true, they're still quarterbacked by Derek Carr, and they're still coached by Josh McDaniels, and they're still 1-4. And they have some tears to deal with after losing that game against KC. And though they didn't have a bye, they had, you play on that Thursday night, you get like the mini bye. So they've had the mini bye to get it out of their system. But yeah, I'm just taking the Texans getting 7. Lovie Smith, Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks. This is more of an anti-Raider pick than it is a pro Lovie Smith pick, to be honest with you. I just think the Texans they should hang around. They can hang around, and there's you're still 1-4 at the end of the day. Josh McDaniels, like, you coulda, woulda, shoulda, maybe be 5-0, but you're still 1-4. You're not doing the things to, finish these games. yeah, you also could be 0-5 too. With that the Cardinal game scenario. So, yeah, it's go Lovie Smith, go Houston Texans, getting 7 for game number 2.
I'm with you. You know what? I mean, I was kind of laughing at it in the middle, but I actually think there's good value there. Yeah, I like it. So thank you for the picks, Andy. Good luck. And let's now move ahead to John in Connecticut, and let's get your 2 picks for NFL Week 7.
All right, Dave. Well, my first pick, Andy already said it. We're going to go with Seattle +6. I wanted to pivot, but whatever. We're just going to try to get wins at this point. I think it's too many points. I mean, we are kind of spinning the roulette wheel with their defense. It's been pretty bad. And so that the performance against the Cardinals, throw it out the window, because we established here, Kingsbury and Murray, not exactly, the smartest combination of quarterback and coach in the NFL, and how they're designing their offense and whatnot. So the Seattle defense is probably going to get shredded here, but Seattle offense has been really good. I mean, I think the Denver's regretting they traded for the wrong quarterback. Maybe they should have traded for Geno Smith, because Geno Smith is cooking at the moment with their offense, and they should be able to score decent enough points to stay in this game. And I agree with Andy's point that Staley might give you a free possession here and there with these dumbass decisions, and let's get them to stay within the number, like 28-24 or something. So we'll take Seattle +6 for the first game. And then game 2, I usually never lay decent amount of points, but we're going to ride with the Bailey Zappi train, and we're going to go with the Patriots -8 on Monday Night Football against the sad Chicago Bears. And one thing about Belichick, like, the Patriots defense hasn't been that great this year, but you can always count on Belichick coming up with some kind of scheme against a young quarterback, especially one that's struggling like Justin Fields. He can't even hit like the easy throws at this point. And you're telling me they're going to go into New England and put up some kind of good offensive performance? I know they had a decent running game, but I just don't see it going well for them there. And Zappi has shown you enough that the Patriots can get 21 points on the board. And I don't see the Bears getting past 10. Obviously there can be like fluke turnovers or special teams or whatever, but just in terms of moving the ball from 20 to 20 and scoring points, Bears, it's just a complete struggle for them at the moment, and I don't see it going any better in New England. We'll lay the points with New England -8 for the second pick. So Patriots -8 and Seattle +6 are the picks for NFL Week number 7.
Love it, John. Thank you very much for the picks, and good luck. Pretty savvy stuff there. I like it. Andy's off to get the laundry, so let's go give you the rest of the picks then while he does. And so we're going to start with Ron in New Jersey's picks, so we'll do that now. Ron in New Jersey sends these picks via the text as he's heading towards Central Florida to go check out Disney World with the family. I hear the new Star Wars attractions are really great down there. So here we go. Let's give it a go. Here, Ron in New Jersey's picks for Week 7 of the NFL are as follows. Let's take a look. He is going to start with the Chiefs giving 2.5 at the 49ers in the showcase game on, I'm assuming, CBS. I forgot who had the doubleheader this week. So good spot for the Chiefs. They're coming off a loss, and now the 49ers are coming off a bye, if I remember correctly. No, not coming off a bye. The 49ers came off a loss to the Falcons, and they have some pretty significant injuries, so it's an interesting spot. So Chiefs giving 2.5.
Fox, Dave.
It's Fox? Okay, cool. Thanks
Kevin Burkhardt.
Oh, Burkhardt. Nice. A-team. Sort of. And then the Dolphins. Right. So,
well done, Dave.
So the Dolphins, game number 2 is the Dolphins giving 7 against the Steelers. And honestly, I'm not going to argue that. Steelers have been bad. They're coming off a great win, but still, they got a long ways to go. So, and now I don't know what Tua's status is for that game. Actually, interesting. That's been an interesting developing storyline. We'll see if he plays that one, but I don't think it matters. I think the Dolphins are going to win either way. So, Chiefs giving 2.5 and Dolphins -7. The picks for Ron in New Jersey, Week 7 NFL. All righty, so let's keep it rolling. We're going to go with my picks for Week 7, and here they are. Here we go. So I have for you a checker and a head-to-head pick. We're going to do the head-to-head pick first. So earlier in our segment, Kevin was big on the Cowboys giving 7 at the Lions. I'm going to fade it. I'm going to go Lions plus 7 at the Cowboys. Now, the Lions are not a great team. I understand that. Their defense is not great. And I don't even know what the scenario is at the quarterback at the moment. But if there's one thing about the Lions I remember, they have been in almost every single game. Every single game this entire season. It's been quite wild. And I think if there's one thing you can count on with the Cowboys is that they don't play that great at home. And Turbo Swim's not going to like any of this, but our friend Swims is a Cowboy fan. But look, I think we could have a close game. If the Cowboys win by 7, that's awesome. But that's also going to be a push. So I'm going to go Lions getting 7 in game number 1. Game number 2, we're gonna ride with Beebs, aka Ron in New Jersey. We're gonna take Chiefs giving 2.5 at the 49ers. I just think the Niners are way too banged up right now. They've got injuries on defense. Bosa may play, he may not play. There's a lot of mystery around that. And the Chiefs are going to be desperate for this game. And generally when the Chiefs play with desperation, it doesn't happen most of the season, but those games when they need the game, they're going to have the game. And I think that Mahomes is going to be too much. The thing is, I think the Niners are going to have a tough time slowing down Travis Kelce anyway. I think no matter how good their defense is. So I think the Chiefs will take this one in Santa Clara. So the picks, Lions getting 7, Chiefs giving 2.5 for week 7 of the NFL. Yeah, Turbo Swim says, I don't know if I'd pick the Lions against that D, though. That's a fair point. And I'll say because the offensive line for the Lions has not been a strong suit. I think it's a very fair point. It's a very fair point. Very fair point. But we'll see. Stuart Hayek says, other than Patriots blowing out the Lions, they have been in every game. Right, exactly. The Lions have been in... They found a way. It'll be a very... If nothing else, it'll be an interesting watch. I'm curious as to see how both teams will respond. Obviously, the Cowboys had a humiliating loss to the Eagles, so lots to talk about there. I am rooting for a good game just from the standpoint that I think those two teams could be fun to watch, but we'll see. So let's go look at the featured games this week, unless I missed anything. I don't think I did. So we'll check out the featured games. Here they are. And again.
Oh, he does have it. He does have it.
I know. There's a lot of drama here. There's a lot of drama here. Andy was ready to call me out. It was like, is that
Tell
game?
him you don't like Jim Nance.
Where'd you go, Andy? I thought you'd be up on here. Let's see. But Andy's there somewhere in the photo. No. We are down for it this time. So, is that the Jim Nance game, the Lions game?
Yeah.
Good spot. I think they picked as well as they could there. I mean, honestly, it's a very, very lean slate. I was really struggling to find games for this. I'm like, Falcons, Bengals, okay. I think I finally settled on something that's kind of decent. Falcons have been gritty. They've been gutty. They've been in a lot of games. Mariota's been playing actually surprisingly well. The Bengals, I still don't trust. Their offensive line is just not that good. Their defense is whatever. So I think that could be a good game too. I don't think I put them in my picks, but I would take the Falcons in that game. Get with the points. And then we mentioned Chiefs 49ers, and I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to blow them out, but it could be a good game. Well, we'll see. Niners defense is generally good, but they're banged up. That is the thing. Yeah, Swim says, the problem is you never know what games are good this year. You really don't. And this week is particularly the case. I just can't get a meter on it at all. So let's roll back. So yeah, Andy, I'm glad I got that. I'm glad I did not hose Nance and Romo this time. Yes, the Lions and Cowboys are in the mix. Let's go to John and let's get your thoughts on this week's action.
Yeah, whatever the NFL serves us up, we're going to watch anyway. So we talked about the shitty quarterback play. We'll be sitting there Sunday at 1 watching the NFL Red Zone channel. So it doesn't really matter. Hell, we'll be watching the Cardinals and the Saints tomorrow night. It doesn't matter what the NFL serves us. You will be there watching it.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I mean, the prime time games of this week, man, it's rough. So you have the aforementioned game tomorrow with the Saints and the Cardinals. The mastermind of Kingsbury against whatever the Saints are putting out there. At least the Saints, like I said, have been competitive. Cliff might be coaching for his job, but who the hell knows with that game? They're giving you like a risk-free same game parlay on FanDuel. That might be my move for that game instead of just betting a side. But like I said, if I had to bet, I'd probably go with the Saints. But no real feel on that. But then the other primetime games, you have the Dolphins and the Steelers. And then Monday night, you have the Bears and the Patriots. Just kind of a rough primetime slate there. But again, we'll be there watching and betting. I just picked the Patriots with one of my picks here. So we gotta commit to that one on Monday. But yeah, the Sunday slate, the Falcons, it's just like it's begging you to take the spread there. They're like 6-0 against the spread, and they're catching a touchdown against a Bengals team that really can't put anybody away this year. It's like they're begging you to take Atlanta, and it almost feels like a trap. But probably have to dive in. I mean, the Falcons have surprisingly the two teams that everyone thought would be horrible at the beginning of the season, the Falcons and the Seahawks, are surprisingly very competitive and better than teams like the Broncos. And I mean, everyone knew the Texans would not be good, but yeah, I mean, much more competitive than we thought with those two teams. The injuries to the 49ers kind of takes a little luster off of that game. Although I think their defense is still pretty good, and I think they may be able to slow down Mahomes a bit. So I think that'll be competitive. I definitely would lean the Chiefs just because of all those injuries, but I think it'll be a competitive game. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means. But again, the spread's only 2.5, so you got to figure the Chiefs can win that by a field goal. Packers are in Washington to play the Commanders. No Carson Wentz. That might be a good thing for Washington. I don't know. We shall see. Taylor Heineke is back starting for Washington. I don't know. I hope Green Bay wins. They lose, it's going to be a real shit show. They lose to the Commanders. That's all I got to say about that one. Like it's a good get right spot for them to win that game and get back on track. The other games on the schedule aren't great, but like I said, we're going to be there at 1:00 on Sunday with the red zone. Actually, I'm truly fascinated now by watching Denver games. I have to say, just to see how low it can get for them each week. And now with the Jets coming in, like riding a wave of momentum, like I think the Jets are going to beat them. Like, how can you pick that Denver team right now to do anything on offense, to score more than 10 points? Like the Jets can score 13. Like that's going to be 13-10 that game. And, the Jets will be on top. So, I'm actually kind of intrigued by that Denver versus the Jets game. But, yeah, the schedule, it is what it is. It's kind of not a great week. But, again, we'll be there betting and doing fantasy and all the good stuff. So, whatever the NFL gives us, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, our friend Turbo Swim has added some great points in that. Oh man, what happened over here? You just turned Win Jeopardy on me. This is great. Oh, okay, but anyway, yeah, no, you're right, John. Our friend Turbo Swim had a really good point. Like, lots of parity. We all want it when we don't have it, and when we do. I mean, and it's just kind of goes back to what Andy is saying. We're there no matter what we get. The comments that the Giants, the Jaguars could be really good. There definitely could be one of those games that comes down to the final field goal. And Swim says Cleveland and Baltimore are generally good games, even when the teams are blah. That's true. I've seen so many close games between those two teams. Doesn't matter what the record. Throughout the record,
Ravens are like blowing leads every game. So that could be a decent pick. Actually, now that I think about it, like Browns plus 6.5 or 7, like you sign me up for that one too. Division game should be pretty close.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to Andy for your thoughts on this week's action, too. And the comment from Swims, Russell Wilson has twice as many bathrooms in his home as touchdowns. Andy,
we must have saw the same tweet about
nice.
10 minutes ago. Thanks for including the Nance Romo.
Definitely.
So the story behind that, a lot of times Dave will conveniently forget the Nance Romo game, which is only the one of the two big games on that Sunday. But no, we're just messing around. But we've said this before. Amazon's getting the Friday game next year. By the way, the pig gets more greedy. The pig gets more food. But this year, especially with Al and Herbie get a game, and then Tirico and Collinsworth get a game, and Joe and Troy get a game, and Jim and Tony get a game, and Burkhart and Olsen get a game. So that's 10 teams right there, like that you need supposedly to have decent game. That's 10 teams from the inventory, and right now, like you might not have 10 teams, so And obviously the Amazon package, they get like the last of it all. And so, yeah, we just get bludgeoned over the head with New Orleans and Arizona. And last week, I actually did not watch Chicago, Washington, because I was watching Baylor and West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You could not watch that game. I didn't even gamble on that game. My friends were in town, and I was like, we're not betting this game. Like, traditionally, a normal Thursday would, but did not. And that game, I guess it came down to the end, 12-7, and then Fields threw it, like, not quite at the goal line when he should. But anyway, like, yeah, there's just a lot of, like, poo-poo games on right now, but we're still going to watch. Like, NFL's king. Concussions, they screw up concussions. We're still going to watch. Like, all the bad stuff that happened, we're still watching. Like, that's why the NFL is basically invincible. And these rash of crappy games, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. We're watching. So maybe we're part of the problem. But usually there's like, so it's weird. How's there only 3 games here? But, I don't know. If you want to, like, go outside the box and put Bears, Pats, you can, because it's just crazy how they set it up. So, right now, Bill Belichick is tied with George Halas for most wins of all time. And so who is he playing to get one more win than George Halas? The Bears. Like, how it's crazy how that happens. So that'll be like one little, thumbnail to pay attention to on Monday night when it's Bears and Pats. The other problem this week is that, Buffalo's on a bye, Minnesota's on a bye, the Rams are on a bye, the Eagles are on a bye. Like, that's a lot of you just listed like 4 of the like decent teams out there.
Yeah.
So, Steelers, Dolphins on Sunday night, is that going to get your whistle wet? No, but it's the last show in town. You're going to either be like, I'm up this much or down this much. Let's gamble on it. And we got to deal with Tirico and all that stuff. But yeah, we'll have to watch it. And yeah, the worm's turning it in the bad way, but yeah, I think it'll bounce back at some point this year, maybe by the beginning of November, and we'll have other storylines to follow. Like, as much as I'd love to make fun of the Giants and the Jets, more so the Giants than the Jets, for different reasons. Like, the Giants are actually like watchable. They're watchable. I don't know. I'm still like wrapping my head around, like, I know John's team just lost to the Giants and the Jets. Like, that's crazy. If you told us that was going to happen in the middle of July, you'd be like, you give me those mushrooms, like, whatever you're on, like, pass them over. Like, that makes no sense, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, the most like loyal Giant fans, like, Daniel Jones is a piece of shit, and he very well might be a piece of shit, but they're winning in spite of him being a piece of shit. The defense is good. Dable is decent, and we're just talking way too much New York football right now. But yeah, the Chiefs Niners game is obviously on paper like prime time. Like, if you have to watch one game this Sunday, it's that one. And it's weird, like, the Niners are always like hampered with injuries, and usually, like, if they're banged up offensively, it's not as crippling, because Shanahan is an offensive, like, that's his like purview. But when Bosa's out and when their defensive, when the injuries are mostly effective, their defense, that's when they're like a little more vulnerable. But I'm not a Shanahan groupie, but I like rooting for him. But yeah, like, on paper, like, KC looks to be a lock, which kind of worries you. So I don't know. I'll probably root for San Francisco, root for Seattle for for our little contest over here. And yeah, like, there's other games we could get wrapped up in. The guy in the chat mentioned the Brown game. Like, we're obviously going to be paying attention to the Browns, and anytime the Browns and the Ravens meet up, that's fun. And yeah, like, the Broncos are a train wreck that you can't kind of look away from. And I made the foolish mistake of having Jerry Jeudy in a fantasy league. So it's like, fucking throw him the ball, Russell. And yeah, it's like, what did Jerry Jeudy do to Russell Wilson? And yeah, I think the Falcons-Bengals game, now that I'm looking at the slate, Falcons-Bengals could be sneaky good. That's all I have to say.
No, I was waiting for more on that game, but I agree with you. I think it could be a very fun game. I mean, they gotta give it.
Falcons are decent. Like, yeah. I bet John and Kevin could mention this too. Like, I think the Falcon coach does laps around Zach Taylor. So like, if you could, like, if you put Zach Taylor on the Falcons, they would probably not have the record they have now. And if you put Arthur Smith on the Bengals wouldn't have come out as flat as they did in the beginning of the year. But that's all conjecture.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's really fun to see how much of a difference coaching can make for two teams. The Falcons are one, the Giants are the other one. I mean, I think it's a huge difference. Like, I think they've really improved quite a bit just from that. Like, it's really great to see that. And the Eagles too, like, who are on a bye, which is the new coach there is pretty good now. And it's interesting that let's see, Stuart Hayek said that he mentioned that the Vikings are on a bias, which he's calling them the worst 5-1 team ever. I don't know. That's a tough one for me to evaluate. I don't really know how good they are either. It's kind of tough. Stewart says nobody mentioning the spread in the Bucs game. Panthers have been close in games against far better. Yeah, I don't know. Like, fellas, how do you want to tackle that? Like, do you think that the Panthers could do that? I mean, I think the problem for me is that I really thought that I was on the Panthers too, John. Like, I really thought the Panthers were going to be in that game more than they were. So it's kind of I'm kind of a little biased on this. Would they be a player in that game? I don't know. I mean, Brady has looked bad. I mean, he looks lost, to be honest. So I don't know. What do you think?
10.5, right?
Yeah, I think I saw 10. Yeah, I think it's a 10.5, yeah. Or 9.
I mean, I'm not laying 10.5, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to choose, I'd take Carolina, but it's one of those games like you don't even want to pay any attention to. It's just like, all right, whatever. Tampa can win by 7. It's just an ugly game.
Very much so, yeah. Actually, I'm seeing 11 now. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, even 11, I don't know. Turbo Swim says, you're forgetting the Panthers are the Panthers, and they still the same confidence as a wet noodle, and they're hurt. Yeah, that's true too. Oh my goodness.
Where's Matt Rule gonna go? You think Matt Rule does like TV? Save this for like the summer show or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Why is Matt Rule like the belle of the ball now to like go to all these college jobs? Like, I know he did a good job at Baylor. To me, he's better in a situation where he can like resurrect the program from nothing. So like, put him at Colorado. Like, I think that's a great fit. But like, if you dump him into like Nebraska, like there's going to be some unrealistic expectations there, in my opinion. Nebraska needs to go.
What about Tom Herman?
There you go. Same with Tom Herman. He could go to Colorado. I would be fine with that. Nebraska needs to go after, or Wisconsin needs to go after the guy from Kansas, Lance Leipold. That's what they need to. In my opinion, that's like the number one target for any of these schools. But I'm not an athletic director, at least not yet, anyway. So
that's a salvo.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting queries as far as where some of these coaches are going to go, and that Nebraska job keeps getting talked about. Like, who's going to be the next Nebraska coach? And I don't know. I mean, it's not what it was. That job is not what it was. So I'm not sure if they'll get quite the snappy coach.
Kevin had to leave, huh?
I think it might have been something with the network or something. I didn't see any messages about it. Let me see. Unless I just missed it. But yeah, Kevin dropped off. I'm sorry about that. So folks, Kevin on the Cape's great. Like, hopefully we'll see more from him down the road. But if you can't make it back, great to see you, Kev. Have a great night. Yeah. Anything else you want to get into before we go? I mean, we're pretty much at the end. Yeah, let me see. Oh my goodness, Carlo, welcome in. Thank you very much for the 7-month resubs. Good to see you again. Carlo is an incredible word art wizard here, and hence his name, the Stream Scribe. Oh, right on. Welcome in. So yeah, follow the Stream Scribe. I guess that's probably it. If you have anything you want to get into, that's cool. John, let's give it to you for final thoughts otherwise.
No, I think this is a good first show for our Twitch experience, Dave. I hope all your listeners and followers in the chat enjoyed it, and we'll be back again for the rest of the season. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you, John. I really appreciate you. Appreciate you being here tonight. And let's go to Andy for your final thoughts.
Yeah, this is the show felt the same from my couch, so I hope LT got the memo, and
I do too.
and all the other folks that are watching. This is we've been doing this for years. We pick games, we talk about the football, talk about some of the other stuff too. There's golf shows coming. Oh yeah, we'll leave it on that. Like the sports equinox is tomorrow, where you can bet on every professional sport, and then also to fill in the gap, there's if Saints Cardinals isn't your bailiwick, there's a couple college games. Troy, for example, Troy, South Alabama, you'll want to watch that. And then for the golf nuts, this week's event is like really good. It's guaranteed world ranking points. It's in South Carolina, and like 15 of the top 20 in the world will be competing. So we will we'll have some wagers on that for sure. The CJ Cup, it's usually in Asia. And credit to the people that there's some players, and John knows, like there's like a handful of players that played in Las Vegas, Nevada. The following week they played in Japan, and now they are back in the States playing in South Carolina. So kudos to those guys, and even kudos to those that just played like either Vegas to Japan or like Japan to South Carolina, like Xander Schauffele. Kudos, good for them. They're not flying like coach though, but the point stands.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see some juice in the golf. I did see some of that event last week. Not a lot. I saw Ricky Fowler was in the mix, like top two. Did any of you catch who won?
This is Keegan Bradley.
Oh, okay, good stuff. Love it.
I mean, that was overnight. That was like ending at 3 a.m. my time, so I couldn't make that one. I think Andy probably made it though. I'm guessing because it probably just ended just around midnight on the West Coast.
Yep. And Turbo Swim points out that the Astro did win 4-2, I believe was the final score. Game one, still plenty of series to go though, but yeah, tough spot for the Yankees. They had that lead for a bit, and what can you do? Let's see. Getting mighty close to one. Oh, I know. We are 16 follows away from 1,000 here on the Sandwich Show. We're really excited. But for everybody who's been following the podcast for as long as you have, thank you so much for your participation tonight too. And those of you who are joining us for the first time here on Twitch, we really appreciate you participating as well. We loved all your comments in chat, fellas. That's gonna do it for us. So have a great rest of your night. Thank you again, and good luck to your picks, of course.
All right, sounds good, Dave. See you.
All right, take care.
Nice.
Take care, Andy, John.
Good luck.
Thanks, you too. All right, so that's Andy in Seattle, John in Connecticut, and earlier we had our friend Kevin on the Cape, and of course Ron in New Jersey sent his picks via the text. Really great to see all of them in the mix, folks. This has been fun. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions and comments about the program, feel free to let us know here. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can go to the Sandwich Show Discord, which is here at this link. Thank you so much, Swims. It's so good to see you again. It has been a minute. So good to see you. So I was looking into places we could raid into. I think we got our pick, and we're gonna go say hello to a good friend of ours. But for folks, those of you on Twitch, thank you again. My name is I'm Dave Medina. You also know me as Davey's Eating a Sandwich. We thank you for joining us tonight. It's been real. Have a good rest of your evening, everyone. And for those of you on the podcast, we'll see you next time.